All right, welcome everyone here to another segment of the Lugnut TV podcast. Today we're going to have some guests on board to talk about the upcoming season and what's going on currently in the series that are being available on Tuesdays and Fridays. So we got that going on. Those guests will be introduced shortly, but again, introducing our current co-host here, Katie Dugas. Say hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
All right. Now, we're going to continue moving on. Like I said, quick facts and, less banter. We'll save the banter for the preseason when we don't got no points to talk about. So, however, let's go ahead and start with a guy that's not here to talk about his own series, Kevin Winter and the Super Late Model Bump and Run series. I know you've been really into that there, Katie, watching it. We're heading to USA International Speedway, one of my all-time favorite tracks, short tracks that is, based there in Florida. It's a concrete graveyard nowadays, but beautiful to see it here on the sim. What do you expect coming up?
I think USA is going to be a little bit better track. I mean, the guys were complaining a whole lot last week that the cars were just awful, but kind of listening to a few of them talk, they think that this coming up week's just going to be a little bit better. I mean, it seems like Concord was just a really hard track for some of these guys.
Yeah, and that's always been a problem at Concord. It's a tricky turn 3, 4 there. A lot of the drivers will attest to that, but also iRacing sets, the fixed sets at least, from what I've noticed, certain cars that have that track still, they need to be gear changed because you will either, go down there throttling all the way through fourth without hitting the tack up at the top, or you're, barely into third gear or fourth gear and wasting all that momentum and speed. A lot of times you'll have to downshift, but when you downshift in that car, the super late model on asphalt, there's always a chance, you miss a gear, you go something like that. It's difficult, and it can be. So, moving on from Concord, USA, the traditional oval-ish uh, circle track, 4 turns, banking's the same from turn to turn normally. A little bit difficult getting off of pit road if guys haven't ever been there. Typical short track, you'll see it. It'll be fun. Hopefully, we'll see the continued support. Right now, I think we got 2 winners. So we got I believe it was Jeff Merck and then Kevin Winter winning Concord. Do you expect to see the same thing going on, or even some new people joining in?
Think we're going to see a few new faces come in. Seeing some of these newer series that we're starting up on dirt, we're having a lot of guys ask about asphalt. And when something gets mentioned about a short track, it's been capturing a lot of attention. So I'm thinking now we might see a few more little faces peer in. But Jeff Merck is just really good on a short track. But I'm going to say it, Kevin Winter is just really hard to beat. Yes, he winds up with a lot of really bad luck. But I mean, the guy can drive.
Yep. So, if you're interested, Tuesday nights, league sessions, go check it out. Super late model. Next up will be USA International Speedway. So, before we bring in our first guest and talk about a lot of stuff coming up, and this will be the greatest portion of the segment here tonight, we talking to our first guest. Uh, we're currently running some little special event series. Last night, Katie, we watched. Gosh, I'm forgetting name. Chris Voiles take care of business at Auto Club in the Xfinity car. Last time we're going to see that Xfinity car, by the way, people. I'll stress this probably now and at the end of this podcast. Be prepared to pay top dollar if you must, depending on how long you've had these Xfinity cars, for the new models that will be implemented come the update on Thursday, I believe it is, or Wednesday afternoon. So that's going on. But so Chris Voiles, John Pansula with a huge, race advantage last night with pitting. Pitting such a crucial factor. We're seeing that happen more and more as we get longer green flag runs. There's going to be races where we don't have green flag runs that are successful as we did last night. Atlanta in the Cup car, Auto Club across the board, really. So certain tracks breed certain developments of pitting, and I think Auto Club is one of that. We'll see how that develops in the future. Uh, you know, we're gonna go ahead and bring that guest in right now. Ronald Klein, admin here, Loose Lugnuts. Gonna talk about the special events coming up that we know of, our usual ones, and getting into really the meaty portion of what to expect for preseason and the upcoming schedule just released to the admin group here. So we got that going on. How you doing, Ron?
Doing well, Jeff. Thanks for asking. Thanks for bringing me on.
Yep. And before we get into your little portion here, again, congrats on the grandchild.
Oh, thank you very much. We had a great day yesterday. They came over and got to spend a good majority of the day with them, so that was a real treat.
All right. Now we're moving into the preseason. We got the special event here tonight, Sunday night, as we're recording this. Probably see this live on the Loose Lugnuts YouTube channel come Monday, Tuesday time frame whenever I get down to editing. But we got the special event tonight. Nothing special, Charlotte Cup. It'll be great fun. Preseason. Let's talk about that. We got 4 weeks, 4 tracks. Each car will go to each track. We're starting out on a short track, Milwaukee. What's with
We're
the
actually
that?
starting out at New
Oh,
Hampshire,
New
but
Hampshire. Sorry. Well,
yep.
they're one and the same. Milwaukee, New Hampshire. Um, just read that wrong. So, New Hampshire flat track. Tight corners. Why the short track in the beginning and a road course at the end?
Well, for the preseason, we want to evaluate all the drivers, kind of in general, and see what our winter series is going to be like, and Loose Lug Nuts has grown exponentially over the last year or so. We have a lot of members, whether they be new or old, and it's time to, be a little more selective in who runs our series, whether it's the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, or the Cup Series. Now, that's not saying that we're just going to flat out cut people, but this upcoming preseason will kind of give us a.
Yeah, dog chimes in there.
Yep.
It's fine. Life goes
Dogs
on.
are
I'm sure.
playing.
I'm sure. Katie has kids running around. I got kids running around making noises. It's all part of it. But the
Yeah, so
evaluation.
the evaluate this is kind of an evaluation preseason where we're gonna take a look at all the drivers, and the best way that John and I thought to do it was to do a 4 week season and do one of each type of track. I mean, we don't have a 2 miler on there, but we've got a short track, we got a mile and a half, we got a super speedway, and then we got a road course. So it'll give us a good chance to evaluate all the drivers, see who really wants to run. Because if you run the preseason, more than likely, if you ran the summer season, you run the preseason, it shows dedication. You're going to be there. You're going to run the winter series. So it's not all about how fast you are or how good of a driver you are. There's a lot of factors into being a member in Loose Lug Nuts. We post it all the time that respect and consistency, and by consistency I mean dedication, showing up and racing for points, not just for wins, and not cherry picking tracks where you're good at. We want guys that are going to come in, going to race with us each and every week, and we understand that real life comes up, so there's times when people will miss that, but this preseason is really about that.
Yeah, getting down to that portion where in the summer series, it'd be obvious that people just took some time off. So there's that. Like you said, real life comes first. Tons of real life events out there that happen week to week. Even myself will be missing a full week in about another week and a half. So it does happen. We understand that here at Loose Lug Nuts. We want people to be involved. So we're getting into that winter series where our northern Canadian folks that race with us they start to get snowed in. It starts to get cold. Extracurricular activities, real life racetracks shut down up north come October, November timeframe. There's that. So we'll have tons of people back in here. I know just a driver I've been seeing recently on my board as I perfect the spreadsheet thing I'm doing. Jason Lance, he'll probably be back with us. There's a couple other drivers, obviously names out there. So we got that good mix for preseason. Uh, Now, before we jump into a little bit of the uh, full winter series season, just want to note that each of the three main series, that is Trucks on Thursday, Xfinity on Saturday, and Cup on Sunday, John would like to remind those are championship style points. Ron's mentioned we want point drivers, but also that there is the usual championship prize at the end for those series, which is a diecast car from Over the Top Paints and Designs. Most unique trophy you can find here on iRacing, in my opinion. Now, as always, we got some new sponsors coming up for our long winter series. We'll see the usual come back: Race Gear, longtime supporter. Obviously, Lugnut TV with myself. ASN covering Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday now. Man's going to be busy along with his Monday league that he covers. So, Thursday, we're going to see the Support Our Troops Truck Series. Now, Pad TNT, I'm sure, will still be mentioned always, but Support Our Troops Truck Series, focusing on support for military and first responders. Saturday night, and we'll talk about this more after Ron's segment. Pit Pass with Katie Dugas, presented by ASN for the Xfinity Series. That will be our new sponsors then. And the Sunday Cup Series, which is probably our flagship series, and what Ron was getting onto about, of maybe not so much cherry picking, but trying to, if you're not comfortable driving the Cup car, please don't drive the Cup car. The Bruzy Cup Series, now I've mentioned them a couple times. They got a couple guys in here that are sponsored by them. Bruzy Cup Series, they're racewear, and I believe they just dabbled into racing seats now. We still got our Bump and Run Super Late Models, American Thunder Super Late Model Dirt Series. That's all well. So there's our sponsors. Maybe get a little picture up right there going on for our actual viewers rather than listeners. So we got that going on. Now I'm going to go ahead and bring up this huge old uh, list of tracks. Now this is a huge run, and I think you've seen it. No dates are set in. Obviously, we got Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, um, President's Day, George Washington. I don't know. There's just tons of things you got to look at, but it's literally a full schedule, Ron.
Yes, we have 22 races scheduled. 18 of them will be points races, and the rest of them, that's why you don't see the dates on the sheet that you have in front of you. We will have 4 special events mixed in with there, so it'll actually be a 22 week winter series, basically, with all points and non-points. You had kind of mentioned it. You've got, in October, we're going to have our yearly Halloween race. November, we always have the Thanksgiving race. Obviously, the infamous Christmas race that I happened to get my trophy from last year, and then our All-Star race. So it's going to be a 22 race season. 18 will be points, and 4 of them will be special events.
Now, I just brought this up to John like as a way to throw a curveball at him, and then he doesn't show up for this little segment, which he was supposed to. John will hopefully get you on here sometime in the future and have the the masses hear your voice like you're a pope or something. I don't know. So that's a huge season. I brought the curveball into saying drop races, stuff like that. What's your thoughts on that, Ron? Because it is a long season. I don't think everyone can make every race. Is it feasible to have some drop races in, or a certain number of races completed that will add your total score?
It's not something that we've done in the past, and I wouldn't say that it's out of the question. It could be up for discussion. I guess I've really never thought about it. But it's definitely something that you could consider. I think that this will be a chase season, just like our previous winter seasons have been. We'll take the top 12 and and it's going to be interesting. The tracks that down there towards the bottom. I don't know if you're showing that graphic or not, but when the schedule is released, the bottom 5 tracks will be an interesting chase season.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we talk about making that top 12, and like I said, like I threw that curveball at you and John now, so that's a good thing to ponder if need be for that.
I think that it wouldn't hurt to give one drop race where for people who may get tied up with family members on certain occasions and can't make the race, or whatever the case may be, because it really doesn't affect too many people. We've done a drop race. We actually did one last season because of how many cars that we had in the beginning, and some people running able to make the room because we literally filled up. So we have done it in the past, and it's not really a bad idea actually. So there's a good possibility we might implement that.
All right. And not to say that, oh, gee, I can schedule that drop race. Remember, Ron has already talked about, 4 special events: our normal Halloween, uh, Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe, well, Christmas, New Year's, whichever way you want to look at it. And then our, once a series or season all-star race that we do. I'm sure John will, extend it to like top 15 for the first coming up to Halloween, I believe would be the first one. So, but you got to be racing for points even early on to get a free pass into that event. There may be other consideration factors into that too, but race hard from day one if you can. Go out there, do it. There's going to be good tracks to start. I'm going to say without any dates, uh, Auto Club is the first on the board that I see. It's a good race to start at. It's a good driver's track. You're not going to be nose to tail until you get to the Cup car at least, but you can run door to door. You can run 2 to 3 different lines. Maybe obviously the fast line is the fast line, but you can run your style of race there. Auto Club. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pocono's
as we
fourth
saw
on that
last
board.
night.
Yeah, last night was a great example of that.
But yeah, I do agree with you. Auto Club Vegas, Richmond, Pocono, Charlotte. Those are the first 5 on the board right now, and like you said, Auto Club is a bigger track. Vegas is a 2-lane track now. Richmond can be a 2-lane track, but depending on the time of day or what car you're in, Pocono is going to be, that's one of my favorite tracks. I love going there. You can race all over that track, and then Charlotte is a 2-laner. So they've done a lot of better job in iRacing making the tracks more than just a one groove track. So I'm excited, looking forward to this season. But like you said, if you go out there and I mean literally, man, you just go out there at Auto Club and say, if I finish in the top 10 through the first 4 races, I'll be locked into the Halloween race. So points matter, like you're saying, and you don't have to win one every time that you go out. Most people, and I think that's going to be the hardest thing this year for people to get used to, is that wins are going to wins are going to come very hard this year. Uh, you're really going to have to be like cherry picking. And we talked about this last year when we did podcasts with certain drivers. Like, if you were to look at the schedule, what track would you pick? Well, after last season, the competition level that was there, I had a couple picked out, and I had problems at those tracks. And I was fortunate enough at, I don't even remember where it was, to be honest with you, but wasn't a track that I would have expected to win at. I expect to win there, or to run well there, but I had to use pit strategy and basically stay out when I probably shouldn't have, and pretty much got lucky that a couple more cautions fell and got a win that way, or I probably wouldn't have gotten a win last year.
Yeah, and that's the key. Sometimes not cherry picking races to show up at, but cherry picking races to where I really got to try hard here because Richmond's coming up, or shoot, I'm not really good at flat tracks, so New Hampshire's coming up, so I got to try good here at Vegas. That's something you may want to look at. I'm good at Vegas. I want to go ahead. I want to get in there. I want to do my absolute best, get that win if possible. Second place, but as you mentioned, top tens consistently will find yourself early on for those special events. And I know John hasn't said anything about special events and the prizes, but we can normally just create that illusion of Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas for being a trophy awarded thing too. But like I said, you got to race your way in. There's no clause that I know of to get you into that race. So our Summer Series champions of Kyle Chadwick, Jeff Gilmore, they got to go back to that drawing board, race their absolute most there, and get ready for the new season. Ron, we're gonna go ahead and get ready to let you go here, end your time up here on the podcast. But as we sit here and talk about the schedule, any thought you want to give to the people out there listening, drivers listening, about how to prepare, what you need to prepare coming up for this season?
This season, if I was myself included, anybody in the league, I would pay attention to what's posted on Facebook. Show your drivers, all the drivers around you, the league owner, the admins, respect. Uh, for sure, the admins are going to show everybody in the league respect. Um, get together with your teammates and practice. Don't just show up and race, because if you just show up and race, you're probably going to have a pretty difficult time. And dedicate yourself to at least one series. That's what we really want from the drivers. And go out and have fun. This is supposed to be fun. It is a simulator, and we all sit down and we all want to win, and we all want to do the best that we can. But sometimes things just happen, and it can be the slightest of mistakes, or it can be you know a little larger of a mistake. But things do happen in the simulator. Brush it off each week and come back with a good attitude, and just have fun with it. And I pretty much can guarantee, like I said, just run top 10. If you run top 10 all year, I guarantee you're gonna secure yourself a spot in the final four. you know that's just, I mean, maybe not the final four, but at least in the chase. You might have to finish top five once you get into the chase to finish, or to have a chance at championship and get to the final four. But um, it's going to be a long, kind of excruciating season, so be prepared for that. This is the time of year where we really dig in, and we run the long schedule and do a lot of cool stuff. So just prepare yourselves as best as possible, come out with a great attitude and have fun.
Yep, no wiser words said there. Have fun, even though it is a competition sim. We'll have that to look forward to coming up. All right, Ron, thanks, and we'll see you here later tonight. Exile Broadcasting covering the special event here on Sunday at Charlotte with the Cup Cars, a little bit of a fun race. We'll catch you then, Ron.
Appreciate it. You guys have a great broadcast.
All right, great long information there. Now let's get back with our co-host Katie Dugas. And so, Katie, what's happening with Pit Pass this week as we move beyond the talking about the Cup and all that? What have you been doing on Pit Pass? Because I know you've been covering a lot. We've seen a little special segment there with Cole Cabre.
Yeah, uh, to put it blunt, I started watching the Peak series on TV and it caught my attention. And this may just be a sim. Some people are going to use the G word and call it a game, where I know it's a sim, but I want to advance this just a little bit more. I want to shine on some of these drivers, like I said, with, the write ups themselves. I want to feature some of these guys that, are a little bit less known, but, still play a big part in this. This guy has two brothers who race in NASCAR circuits. He is only 17 years old. He has two pro licenses. And I kind of took you behind the wheel a little bit, took him on a little personal interview, just, learning more about him and what he does. And, you know, he's not in the back seat of his big brothers this week. All eyes are on him. So we're going to start taking, a look into some of these drivers like this and shining a spotlight on drivers. I just started another one where we're taking a dip into some of the teams and sponsors to see what it takes when a company or a business decides that they want to sponsor either somebody or a team on here and showing, their side of it. So you're not just getting to see the broadcast side or just the driver's side. I'm trying to give you the full effect here of what it takes, as a whole in this whole iRacing community. It's not just a sim, it's not just a game. It is so much more.
Yeah, and I have to compare it always to how NASCAR developed in the real world. With the established drivers were the established drivers. Richard Petty was king for 3 decades of NASCAR. That's how good the king was, but also that's the way NASCAR was at the same time. Sponsorship deals are just another thing to come here inside of the sim world of iRacing and overall gaming. I'm air quoting here. Overall, you get the ninjas of the world out there that can secure Red Bull and whatnot for some ridiculous games that I don't see how people could follow. But at the same time, we look at that. NASCAR's always had a good time of sponsorship deals. They had the Winston series for the long time. But when cigarettes went out of style, cell phones were the next thing to come up. So you get what I'm getting at there. Um, you got to play that, and it's the next evolution of sim racing, being able to be sponsored. But as I mentioned, some of those guys already involved in that Peak Antifreeze series have won championships, multiple races. They got their sponsorships. Now it's time for the next generation to come along and work to upseat those sponsorships for themselves and bring in new sponsor type deals. That's good. The Cole Cabre thing, we'll link Pit Pass Facebook. That way you can go check it out. Check out everything that Katie's been doing. A steady involvement there, Katie, from interviewing drivers on the fly, from you being as quiet as a mouse 3 months ago. What a evolution!
I'm trying. I'm really getting involved in this because as I see, more in depth how much these people, not just time that they invest, but this is a family aspect for a lot of people. And as I'm getting to know more and more people, I'm seeing bigger names surface and I'm seeing, bigger businesses come in. I mean, I want the outside world, I say outside world, outside of iRacing to understand, the complexity and how intense this is getting to be. This is being broadcast on NBC Sports. So, this could be as big as NASCAR one day. You may not even have to buy tickets to go to a race. You could sit back and watch iRacing. Who knows?
Yeah, the who's the Richard Petty and Dale and Hurt. Those are great questions, and it could come down to that as our society develops into a computerized, simulated, even really age. Uh, this sports growth is exponential here. Obviously, we have to have the real thing out there um, to simulate it. So uh, that's always going to be needed. Well, it's an interesting topic, and like I said with Katie before we went on air here, was certain topics we're going to leave for those dead weeks when we got nothing going on to talk about points wise. But I'm not seeing Mr. Thornhill get in here, and I haven't seen him jump in. So we'll go ahead and move on to the dirt side now. That's still going. That is the American Thunder Dirt Super Late Model Series on Friday nights. Katie, again, I believe we had a new winner.
We did. We had Evan C come over this week, and that is a teammate of Blake Brown. They both run Team BLR, I believe it is. We had Zach McSwain in our top three. Jeremy Capron came in and he was feeling pretty confident. He is actually still sitting on the top of our points championship. He went in leading, still came out leading, didn't finish exactly where he wanted to, but it happens that way.
Yeah, so new winner, big names out there, guys that have the potential to get a black license plate and run the big series there. Gosh, I wish they had a Hooters Pro Cup type thing too, but Tire Wars next thing for iRacing. I don't know. I'm guessing. Uh, so with dirt, I mean, is it still difficult to secure the beyond the top 10 as we see some drivers week to week not show up? Is that finding difficult? Do you think on the dirt side?
Well, we just finished up week 4, and we have had a substantial amount of pro guys come out, even guys that may not have a pro card. They are running a pro series. That leaves, Jeremy Capron sitting on the top. And then, sitting in second, we have our very own Brandon Thornhill. But every week we have had names like Bailey Cardwell, Cody Howard, Jeremy Capron. The names go on and on when it comes to these guys. The Zach McSwains, the Evan Seas. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's overwhelming whenever you see some of these guys and you see our regular loose Lugnuts guys. Like, even one of the best, Randy Arms, is, I'll say it, downright intimidated when it comes to some of these guys because, I mean, they are fast and you're all running in a fixed setup. So, yes, it becomes you're running maybe a one line track type deal there towards the end. Evan C., our winner last week, put it, you know, exactly the way it could be. Everybody is running the same line. You just have to be able to do it a little bit better.
Yeah, so that can be proven on the asphalt side too of things if you look at it that way. Sometimes tracks and races develop that way. You just got to be that much better than the competitor who's running behind you. But the dirt monster is definitely the dirt monster. Can prove intimidating for our asphalt guys that come over sometimes. I know James Lehman has found success winning the first dirt race uh, held by our Friday Night Dirt Series. So Kevin Winters thrown his hat in the ring a few times. I think I've seen Ray Richer on the board once or twice. So guys have gone over, but I would like to see some consistency from those big names that you mentioned. Come out and enjoy a full season. I guarantee you the trophy at the end that you could fight for is well worth it. Look at Brandon Thornhill. Um, that picture up on our Facebook page showing him and his cool little collection there, along with his little diecast that he got from John Hendrick Over the Top Paints and Designs. So, I failed to mention though, Katie, and well, I guess somewhat to you directly, Saturday Xfinity Series with Pit Pass as the sponsor. So, going forward, that's got to be cool for yourself.
Yeah, I'm gonna be like the Jeffersons. I'm trying to move on up.
Yeah, Katie's definitely moving on up. Got the soundboard going on and creating every which way. And that's how you get involved, people. Dedicated. Katie's just thrown herself at this family style of racing, being involved in the booth on Tuesdays and Fridays broadcasting. She's got her own little thing with Pit Pass and whatnot. So that's all you got to do. And sometimes you just got to ask if you want to get involved with certain things like that. Katie created her own thing. Um, I did Lugnut TV now for off and on 3 years. Created it with John. Sometimes you just got to ask that admin, hey, what can I do? Hate to bring the late president into it. I just did a speech about him. Ask what you could do for your country rather than your country can do for you. Apply same here, and see what you can do to help out the league if you have that time and ability. It's always appreciated. But we've talked about everything under the sun here. As always, you got to pay attention to the league page. The full announcements will be made on the Facebook page. If you're new into it, stop by on the TeamSpeak, which is probably mandatory for our races that are broadcasted, if not all of our series. So get in, talk to me. I always like to know your information because I'm sure Katie's the same way. You want to get to know people, what their sponsor is, what number they are. That's a little bit different on the dirt side, but our asphalt guys sponsor numbers, what team they're running for if they're running with a buddy or have a team name. So that's always good info to know. Hop in, say hi, mingle amongst the folks here. Katie, going in, I think we're about half or a little bit more halfway through the dirt. Super late models kicking up to week number 3 officially. We're going to be starting the preseason. What do you got going on with Pit Pass next week and being involved with Lugnuts?
Well, I plan on staying on with loose lug nuts for the long run. Next week we are going to Eldora. We have a little UMP deal we're kind of running on the side, just as something fun. The Thunder Series is going to be going to Eldora, which, this track is by far my favorite on dirt, no questions asked. If we continue to see these big names like this come out, you cannot help but, even if you can't make the show, come out and watch. You can't watch, hey, Pit Pass is always going to have an article the next day. Any of these drivers that, you might want to put something out there, give us any kind of info, shoot it to me or Jeff, either Pit Pass or something with Loose Lug Nuts TV. I mean, we're always willing to, take in new input. I know I am for sure. And like I said, I'm sure Jeff's the same way. We're always looking for new faces. Don't be afraid to jump into this league. There are so many guys out here who want to help and, really enjoy seeing someone make progress like that. If you're new, even to iRacing, these guys are going to help you all they possibly can. And I mean, I've seen it from experience.
Yeah, and that progress is a good thing to talk about. So this will be the final thing going over here, and I know uh, Top's got to be proud of it. So officially named Rookie of the Series or the Summer Series, so to say, Rookie of the Season, Topper Dugas, and you know, it may not be huge accomplishments on the board. I know he's missing that win coming up, but points wise and dedication wise, this is what we want to see from drivers. And Katie's dedicated herself, Topper's dedicated herself. It's the family thing now. Uh, Topper's got a good look now going into the winter. What would you say on that?
Well, I've learned that if I talk too good about him, something bad's just bound and determined to happen. But whenever I saw that come across the screen today, I can tell you I squealed. I was so excited. He has poured his heart and absolute soul into this. Early in the season when Matt had brought me up to help broadcast a little bit with ASN, there were some races he sat out just so I would be able to get into his sim itself and be able to broadcast. So he took the back seat a lot just for me to be able to do that. And, as a wife, that it just flatters me beyond any belief. But to see him come out as the rookie of the year, it definitely, was a huge thing for me. And I know it was big for him too.
Yeah, and sometimes our dirt guys don't get a little bit of a shine to that. I know there's some dedicated dirt guys out there that, you don't want to cross over to the asphalt. Some of our guys don't want to cross over from asphalt to dirt. I get that. Hopefully we'll continue to develop that side of dirt and get your names out there a little bit more. Maybe Jeff needs to pay attention a little bit more to the dirt side when his kids aren't bugging him. But Topper Dugas, congrats there for Rookie of the Season. We got the long winter stretch coming up. Who's going to be the next rookie? Who's going to be the next dedicated? But as I said, there's a lot of other drivers there too that were in there. Justin Michaels earned his number back. Nick Zontner winning a few races on the Cup side gets a number. Corey Tuggle, really a dirt guy probably, and a short track guy altogether with an official number. The Deedham brothers, Tyler and Brandon, get their number. Chris Shaw, Chief Shaw, a guy I've gone over a lot here, gets his number. Tony Romack, Lone Wolf Motorsports. Keith Haney back with the number. Justin Sick, I believe, is a dirt guy, short track guy. Corey Blevins, I think a guy that started with dirt, just like Top, and moved over to some asphalt. He's got a number. John Henderson, well-deserved rookie season across the Cup side. Chris Voiles, James Haney back. Randy Arms, dominating some races, really. Kerry Cleaver, we'll get a number back on him here very shortly, getting his number of choice. So that's going on. Congrats to all those guys that made that dedication. You got, we'll probably be expanding the, driver of the year. If we come down to that, we'll have to make a physical year to determine that. Probably be during the winter season. I don't know. some accolades coming up. Uh, get to it, guys. Long winter series. See if you can't join a couple of the preseason's special events here tonight. But we're gonna go ahead and sign off here with Katie Dugas, myself. So everyone have a great preseason here at Loose Lugnuts. Stay involved in the community. Try to get in where you can. Also, with that hurricane coming up out there on the east side of the United States, Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, even now where my wife's at. Uh, so stay safe out there. Stay aware of that hurricane. We'll check back into everyone next time here in the Lugnut TV podcast with some more information. Have a good evening.